Well, good morning, our beloveds. This is take 2 because we want to clarify more what our message is to really bring it home. Today's topic is on addiction. What is it? Where does it come from? And why does it arise? You're beginning to understand more about certain types of addiction, which can be tied to alcohol, drugs, as in the black market type of drugs. But there are also now really well-known addictions to pharmaceutically based drugs. But addiction is anything that keeps you locked in a cycle of behavior in order to manage your anxiety of the world or the challenges around you. And addiction stems from lack of control in your early childhood and lack of love for self, which generally is tied to early childhood experiences, but they can also express themselves a bit later in life. But here is how it looks. What is it that you engage in that manages your anxiety? Is it people pleasing? Is it workaholism? Is it over-exercising? Is it over-shopping? Is it over-experiencing things? Do you get stuck in a cycle of behavior because it hides the truth of what's really going on? You're seeing how much of society as a whole is addicted to something, and your electronic world is magnifying or fueling that. When you look at the young people and their addiction to partying and live action and constant drama, it comes from those dopamine hits. So where do you get your dopamine hits? And why are you unable to walk away from that which interferes with the balance in life? If you exercise 20 hours a day in order to manage your stressors, is that a healthy addiction or an unhealthy addiction, right? Or do we even need to measure it as healthy or unhealthy? Or can we simply say, this is addictive behavior? Now, addiction is something that compulsively pulls you forward versus one that lovingly wishes to be expressed. So if, for example, you are an artist who loves to draw 20 hours a day because it is expressing your soul's or your heart's desire, is that an addiction or is that an expression of self? But when you excessively run marathons around the world, is that because it is expressing self, or is it because running helps to relieve the stressors that build up in your life every day. So which of those two is a healthier behavior to engage in, and why? Because one fills you with an expansive expression of love, whereas the other is more of a detachment from self in order to escape the realities of that which you have suppressed. So when you look at all areas of your lives where you move from one activity or behavior to another, whether it be self-love and self-care, right? Reading one book after another in order to heal that inner child versus just healing that inner child. One is still an expression of lack, whereas the other is just simply embracing self. And it is coming to a head, and it won't necessarily end anytime soon, because the human construct is to break out of these unhealthy cycles. But we wish today just to point out to where are you over attached to any particular activity or belief system. It is here to teach you where you are not grounded in self. If we were to put you in the midst of a healing retreat center where there is nothing other than sun, sweetness, sounds in nature, and silence, if that is all that you had around you for 24 days, what would you notice about yourself? What attachments do you have to other activities that you would need to detox from? Find an answer in this very simple question. If we were to put you in the middle of nowhere and you were to sit and explore your navel, what would you miss? What habits, what patterns, which people, which processes would you miss? Because at the end of the day, your soul essence is that piece of you which you can only explore and experience when you go within. Everything else is an illusion. Find some insight in this very simplistic question of who are you? Where are your addictions and coping mechanisms? And what is it that you seek to solve by the time you exit this particular life's experience? You are not here to save anyone else other than you. So how do you go about doing that? We speak slowly to really make an exception of this channeled message. An exception, what does that mean? Is it EXCEPTION or ACCEPTION? Which exception is it that we speak of? Find the answers to your own solutions. It's either exception or exception. You either make excuses or you accept your reality for what it is and work your way through it. Do you feel defensive or do you feel invited into this experience of healing your inner trauma? The answers can only be found within. Seek it, explore it, and be it, as you are, after all, human beings and no longer human doings. We love you. May this message find resonance within your soul, because this is probably the most important message we have ever channeled through our another, your another. Becoming you requires effort, but the effort is not in the outside of yourself. It is solely within the inner journey of returning home. And so it is. Namaste.